Let's start this video off with Shattrath and the Lost Raid tier. When Warlords was first announced, we knew about 3 of the potential raids early on, and one of them was not Hellfire Citadel. What's widely believed and speculated was that Shattrath was supposed to be the raid after Blackrock Foundry, and would most likely conclude the Iron Horde storyline before the demons got involved with Hellfire Citadel. And since Blizzard changed their mind about it mid-expansion, the lore doesn't really make much sense, since Blizzard didn't really try very hard to fit it in. After all, gameplay does come first, and they scrapped an entire raid. Now, Shattrath is still in the game, and is used as like an Apex's daily hub or some shit, so it can't be entered. So, what does the inside of Shattrath look like? Well, luckily, I have ways of looking inside the structure. And if we do look inside, you can see that there's nothing. Well, I mean, there's at least a floor, which is more than can be said for most empty buildings. That's probably on there so that people who do glitch themselves inside don't fall forever below the world. But then again, this isn't too surprising, as most raids don't really have anything inside the physical structure either, and are just more fancy places to teleport you to the real raid in a separate instance. So, why was the Shattrath raid scrapped? If anything, it was one of the most anticipated raids of the expansion, seeing as it was based on the first ever neutral major city, that members of both factions have fond memories of. Well, I don't think Blizzard ever gave an official reason, but it was most likely scrapped for the awesome content that was the shipyard. I'm joking, of course. The real reason was because there was a mission we can send our followers on to liberate it for us. Next up, we've got Farahlon in the Southern Islands. If you look at all the early maps of Draenor, and even any physical map in-game, you can see Farahlon on the map, right off the coast of Gorgron. This is what Netherstorm was supposed to be based on, and was planned to be added in a later patch tier in WoD, like the Island of Giants and Myths. Farahlon is supposed to have magical storms in the seas around it that are frequent and unpredictable, and there was even a planned shipyard mission in the patch 6.2 PTR called To Farahlon that would send your crew on a mission to collect the Pearl of Farahlon, and possibly open the way to the island. But of course, none of that happened. For a while during Warlords of Draenor's launch, all the way until the first major patch, I think, there was actually a massive amount of just empty, untextured land off the coast of Gorgron, where Farahlon was supposed to be. And the sea in the same location is probably the longest stretch of sea in the game, that just goes on and on before hitting the edge of the zone. So Farahlon might no longer be in the game, but it's clear that the zone of Draenor was built with Farahlon in mind. Now, as to why it was scrapped, Blizzard said its story didn't fit into the story they were trying to tell, so they just put it on hold for now. And it might come back sometime in the future, similar to Tol Barad, which Blizzard said was supposed to be in Wrath but was added in Cataclysm instead. So Farahlon was most likely another victim of Blizzard changing the lore mid-expansion, just like the Shattrath raid. As for the Southern Islands, there is a lot of things those could have been, but as stated in BlizzCon...
Oh yeah, so in the corner, you've got at the very bottom left down there, that's a mysterious ogre continent. The ogres came from Britain, right? And the ogres at this time were at the height of their empire. Their empire exists mostly on the continent down to the south, but their influence has spread to Draenor.
The southern giant landmass was supposed to be an ogre continent, and is the only one of the mysterious islands still on the map in-game. As for the other 2 islands, the one directly below Spires of Iraq and the much larger one below Negran, there was never any official word on what those were supposed to be. Next up, we've got the capital cities of the 2 factions. Horde was supposed to have Bladespiral Citadel, and Alliance was going to have the Black Temple before it became corrupted by demon felch fire and shit. The Horde one was mostly finished and is in-game, but was just kinda turned into a questing location. But the city, after it's cleared out, is massive for a questing hub city, and even has 2 innkeepers. Karabor, the name of the Black Temple before it was corrupted, I think, was never quite finished before Blizzard scrapped the idea and instead turned the hubs in Ashran into their faction hubs. But the inside of the city was mostly pre-textured before it was scrapped. And if you manage to look inside the building now, you can see that there is nothing inside. Not even a floor. I mean, even Shattrath had a floor, but Blizzard just completely removed everything from this. Next up, we've got the Train of Gorgron. If you've ever done the Grimrail Depot dungeon, you'll notice that the train is going through the entire zone of Gorgron, and not just the northern tip where the dungeon is located. Apparently, there were plans to have a train going throughout the entire land, and they could be used as a way to fast travel between zones, since Blizzard didn't plan on allowing people to fly in Draenor. But there isn't really anything in-game showing what the trains would look like, or where the tracks would be, besides this dungeon, and Alpha Gorgron, which did have train tracks extended out further into the zone. Zynga Marsh and the Underwater Zone. It seems like there were plans to make Zangarmarch its own zone, or even an underwater zone like Vashj'ir. The Zangar Sea had its own theme music and even a world boss planned for it. And if you look around the Zangar Sea, you can see it had a lot of work put into it for it to be mostly unseen outside of 1 or 2 quests. But then again, some zones in WoW have really detailed underwater zones for no reason, and the Zangar Sea isn't super detailed in comparison to those. So the only real weight to this theory that it was planned as a zone was the fact that it had its own zone music and the one image of a fungal whale world boss. The Broken Horn Village. Now, this village is in-game, but it's kinda hidden in the northern tip of Gorgron, and there is literally no reason to go there. It's the only Laughing Skull orc village besides the one that gets abandoned at the start of the Horde Gorgron storyline. But there's no quests, and no quests send you there, which is odd because there is a bunch of named NPCs, an innkeeper, and the fact that the Laughing Skull orcs are a reputation you can grind out for the Horde, which you would think would be important, since in-game the only way to gain reputation with the Laughing Skull orcs is to build a trading post, and the only way to buy stuff from the Laughing Skull Quartermaster is also through the garrison building. My guess is that Blizzard did have something planned for it, maybe something to actually do with the Laughing Skull rep, but since there wasn't an Alliance equivalent, they just scrapped everything to do with it, and just kinda left the village there since it was done. But the village is used for something. It is involved in a shipyard mission to defend from the Iron Horde who plan on bombing it since it's close to the Iron Docks. So it's not completely useless, I guess. So that's it for the video. I originally saw a thread on MMO Champion with a list of all the cut content from WoD, which I'll put in the description. But I've also seen videos since then that did a good job of covering them. So for this video, I just decided to pick a few of the things cut and just expand upon them, rather than go through every little thing.